Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Jacob, and this is the 27th video on my series studying JavaScript. Of course, I also study other things that are programming related, like web development technologies and different types of just computer science related topics. But right now, it's heavily oriented towards JavaScript. So if you've seen any of my other videos, you would be familiar with where I am, but to catch you guys up, for the last 25 days, I've basically read source code from multiple different projects that I deemed good sources of information, good examples of permutations that you can do with JavaScript. Simultaneously, while doing that, I was reading documentation from many different sources. To list a few, we've got drafts for WHWG or whatever it is. It's affiliated with the w3.org. I've read stuff for ECMAScript, the specification. I've read MDN's JavaScript documentation, some of their, a little bit of their CSS and web API based stuff. I've read some of the associated technologies like React, Webpack, Babel, TypeScript, and I've read some CSS-based things like W3C schools and CSS tricks and whatever. One of the things I do like to do is if you want to learn some topic really well, what you do is you try and read like 10 different sources. 10 is just an arbitrary number, but you try and read a bunch of different sources take on it, right? So a good example is I wanted to learn promises better. So I read MDN's promises, and then I read a bunch of other blog posts and articles. Like a good site is javascriptinfo.com too. But there's just, you go around all these different things and you slowly build up a better understanding. So that's what I was doing for the last 25 days, is reading all this information. And I wasn't writing code. Yesterday I started writing code, and today I started writing code. I continued writing code, right? I'm not writing code for like an app sort of thing. I'm not writing code for school. I'm not writing code for a job. I'm writing code to learn pragmatic patterns that I collected from my study in the last 25 days. So I'm basically trying to take some of the most ubiquitous patterns I just saw and then install them onto my mind, and that's going to probably just take a couple weeks of repeating certain things and exploring certain mechanisms and systems and technologies and lines of code, basically exploring lines of code, how they combine together, and get them to do what you want and get your mind to understand how it works and how to do it and how to like slightly vary it, just build a good conceptual groundwork for everything. So and so I've been doing that with a lot of different JavaScript type things, just using different functions that I want to, exploring different like parts of asking certain questions like, can you use this pattern with this hook in this way, like React hook? Can you use anyways, and there's just a lot of different things. I've taken notes on. Actually, when I read source code now, I also do this other exercise sometimes, which is writing down patterns that I want to explore further. An example of that is in code URI. You may have seen that. There's 3 different things that look similar that I couldn't really differentiate for a while. It was escape, which is deprecated and you should never use it, and then encode URI, and then encode URI component. And encode URI is slightly different than encode URI component because encode URI component is really meant to be applied to the value within a parameter string at the end of a URL. So, after a question mark, you have something like k equals value. That value is where you're supposed to use encode URI component. And when you use encode URI, you're using that on a URL itself. And it's important to recognize that you don't want to combine the two because you'll get double escaping, basically. And from a foundational point of view, it's just important to understand that URLs use certain, they're like regex expressions. They use certain symbols in certain ways, and you can't overload those symbols. So you have to, if you want to use those symbols in like generic hooks, then you have to encode them in a special way so that they can be represented in the URL and sent through it. I probably didn't explain that very well, but anyways, that's an example of something that I looked into a little bit more deeply, that I found in source code. And remember, like, I don't pursue stuff that I see for the first time and I think it's interesting. I oftentimes pursue stuff that I've seen many, many times in the source code that I still don't know exactly what it is, and then I clarify it for myself. Although, once you get a deep enough understanding and mastery over something like JavaScript, what you would do is you would just recognize the things that you don't know would stand out to you a lot when you're reading source code. You'd just be like, well, I know this, but I've never seen this pattern before. This is what it's like when I read Python code. I understand like 95% of the patterns. When I say understand, I mean like it's very familiar to me. I've seen the pattern before. I get sort of what they're trying to do. And so when I see something that catches my eye, it's oftentimes because it's something I literally haven't experienced. And that's a sort of rarer phenomenon with Python. And I feel that actually with JavaScript too. It's becoming rarer that like there are things that I'm totally unfamiliar with. And it's becoming more common that there are things that I totally grok almost immediately, right? Like my mind just recognizes exactly what's happening faster than it was before. I mean, it's been like 25 days now and it's 160 hours, so it makes sense that my mind is starting to like recognize what it is that's in front of it. So anyways, that was some of the stuff that I did. I spent a lot of time bashing my head against CSS today. I really tried to improve my understanding of the flex layout and the grid layout and to compare the two. And I think I did make some progress with that, but I understand and recognize that this CSS thing is going to probably be like, it's going to be a lot of days. I'm just going to dedicate days to just trying to get better at CSS and JavaScript from now until like 100 days from now. There are just going to be days where I'm writing code more or less to do that, and that's the main purpose. So anyways, today was good. I only got about 7 hours done, but it was good, and I'm gonna keep going tomorrow, and we have a 3-day weekend, so I'll do more on Monday as well, and just keep running with it. There's no reason to stop, and I'm feeling better about it anyways. So so thanks for tuning in. Of course, if you have any feedback or anything like that, drop a comment below. Something I've noticed, or a thought that I had, was I have a blog and I have this video channel, and I have this video channel copied onto other platforms like Odyssey and Vimeo, Instagram. But if you had a topic that you wanted me to discuss, or a blog that you wanted me, basically I'm saying if you have something that you would like me to talk about in either the medium of a blog post or a vlog post or both, I'd be totally open to doing that, and so like you could always present that too. But yeah, so anyways, thanks for watching, and take care of yourself. And I haven't said this in the last couple of videos, but I do believe this. Try and control your focus, right? I honestly, in this modern time period, your focus is constantly trying to be hamstringed and used for other things. Try and control your focus and try and actually like do some good for yourself, like move forward in a good direction, and don't give up hope. So thanks for watching, and see you later.